Europe is known for having all sorts of unique trains, and today's ride is no exception. Though this one is less unique in terms of the train itself, but rather where it goes. At the end of this trip, we will be on the Atlantic coast, in the Westmost train station in all of continental Europe. Let's go ride the Cascais Line. Welcome to Belém here on a rather rainy evening in Lisbon, but that's been the theme of my entire trip so far, just non-stop rain. But this is quite an important spot if you are what you may describe as a foamer. You can get here by the 15 tram, which we saw in a previous video. Just behind me over here is the Museum of Coaches, and by coaches you mean like horse-drawn coaches and stuff. But we're on this footbridge because this footbridge right here leads to a train station on the Cascais Line, which I still don't know how to actually pronounce. Hopefully once we get on the train, we'll figure that out. All right, here we are just approaching the station. There is the rail line itself. It runs on Iberian gauge, which we're gonna see a lot of across this trip here in Lisbon and Barcelona. Lots of Iberian gauge. And just over there is the 25th of April bridge, which, as we will see later, actually has trains on it. So yeah, quite a lot to see out here, but we gotta get down to the platform. Not that one, but the other one out there. Here at Belém, payment is handled by tapping in and out, though many CP stations have fare gates. Is that Kaiserslautern? This railway line is part of Lisbon's broader suburban rail network operated by CP. It links the city to one of Europe's most iconic beach towns that bears the line's same name. But while this train is of course very useful for tourists, it is still vital in linking Lisbon to various towns along the way, including the municipality of Oeiras. Let's board our CP Class 3150, or is it a 3250? I totally forgot. But they're both very similar EMUs from a defunct local manufacturer. Boarding is unfortunately not level, though some parts of some stations have ramps, and the train's at a rather slow speed of 90 kilometers per hour. Today's trip will take us from Belém to the end of the line at Cascais, lasting about 32 minutes. This railway line has been around since the 1890s, and was electrified in the 1920s, making it the first railway line in Portugal to do so. It was also privately run by the Estoril Company until fairly recently. Despite it being the first electric line of Portugal, it still had the antiquated 1.5 kV DC compared to the nationwide standard of 25 kV AC. That means that despite there being a track connection to the rest of the network at Alcantara, there are currently no passenger trains that make use of that connection. Hopefully they actually follow through on their plans to replace it. Without a metro link in this part of Lisbon yet, the Cascais Line and the 15 tram end up doing a lot of heavy lifting with regards to transit. Hopefully the metro's red line extension can go some way to alleviate that. I rode on the weekend, so trains arrive every 20 minutes, making all stops all day. That's also the service pattern on weekdays at off-peak times, but during peak hours, a rather unique pattern is used. Two trains will leave Cascais Line, the origin station, just 2 minutes apart, with the earlier one running with limited stops up to Oeiras, then continues making all stops to Cascais. This allows it to get far enough ahead of the other train, while it makes all stops to Oeiras, where it terminates, and turns back to Cascais Line. Oeiras itself is actually a fairly dense municipality, with 170,000 people in just 46 square kilometers. It also, fun fact, used to have a people mover system, which was connected to a Cascais Line station. It closed though in 2015 due to poor ridership and multiple years of losses. It didn't help that it was not fare integrated with the rest of the transit in Lisbon, and to this day it remains dormant. We're pulling into Estoril now, within the broader municipality of Cascais, and as the waves begin to crash, it was time to start getting ready to leave the train. Okay, how do I get out of here? There we go. Alright, welcome to Cascais. We are in a very iconic beach town. Lots of tourists come out here, but crucially for my purposes, I am now at the Westmost train station in continental Europe. Let's go. And on my way here, I realized if I had a nickel for every ocean that I've ridden to its coast on a train, I'd have 2 nickels, which is not a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. I rode the Judah to the coast of the Pacific Ocean, and now I've ridden the Cascais Line to the Atlantic coast. Let's go check out what this town has to offer.
As far as transit here, the region has its own bus network, but I didn't have time to ride it. I just headed down these lovely streets and towards one of the 17 beaches in the city of Cascais.
Oh, look at that. This is lovely. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I imagined. Very, very picturesque over here. And this is all within minutes of a train station. Who says you can't take a train to the ocean? But yeah, that's gonna do it. I'm gonna get the train back to Lisbon because it is a little late. Unfortunately, the overcast weather has ruined what I was hoping to be a nice little sunset on the way in, because sunset time has technically elapsed now. But yeah, this is probably one of my favorite trains I've ever ridden, and it was a pretty nondescript train ride itself, but just the destination, I think, more than made up for it. But yeah, definitely if you're in Lisbon, take the train to Cascais. Don't get an Uber, as the airport ads will tell you to do. Take the train, it's worth it. Now, I still can't read much Portuguese, but I'm guessing that means a hydrogen bus. So yeah, it's not only an American thing. Hydrogen buses are everywhere.
Just for completeness, here's a quick look on the train back, which will take all the way to Cascais Line, which takes about 40 minutes and was absolutely packed with tourists here this time, presumably folks who spent the day out. And here at Cascais Line, which is a bit of a mess of a station sometimes, you can transfer onto the Lisbon Metro or some trams to get to your final destination in Lisbon. I'll go ahead for mine, and that will be it for now. Thanks for joining me on this rather interesting trip report, and I'll see you again very soon.